I'm really happy to welcome Donata Schoeller, who many of you, if not most of you, already know. Is a thought I have had in the past when I've seen philosophers discuss Gendlin is I sometimes ask myself, has that philosopher ever focused? I'm wondering what you think of the importance of actually having the focusing process in some way in order to understand and communicate the philosophy.
Yeah, that is a very important question. And I need to so there was an instance during my own, research and my own having to write a habilitation, which is like a second PhD, that one of my supervisors said, well, if I have to practice this, I'm not interested in this philosophy. Wow. And, that touches such a major tacit dimension of problem, that touches a hidden assumption of what philosophy is. Mm-hmm. And that touches something we need to grapple with as Gendlin scholars that have a felt sense that it is this practice that is also philosophically relevant. Mm-hmm. But in terms of a dominant philosophical understanding, this is per se not part of philosophical practice, because philosophical practice is understood as, as interacting with texts and discussing on the basis of texts and reasons and logic and coherence and positions and knowing the discourse. It's a different kind of practice. And you touch something so complicated because very easily this kind of practice can then be shoveled in an old box of, well, this is just subjective, mm-hmm. going to your own. But yeah, there is so much philosophical discourse that this is nothing we can really talk about, and it's also not relevant. Mm-hmm. So you have a whole discourse that kind of makes it difficult to even start to find the words why this could be relevant. And I think this is also why Gendlin was so extremely careful, because there's just mm-hmm. Centuries of reasons why the subjective and the personal and the feeling just is something we need to transcend to come into a universal space. So this is kind of the major question, and I think it's there we really touch an edge where we need to find totally new words why it is relevant. And I think, and then maybe I stop, but I think that our whole crisis, environmental crisis, helps us. That we say, and Sigga also in her presentation, that there is some kind of disconnect that happened through a disembodied tendency in our tradition that is now also, going on in a digitalization of mind, as if mind is really just information algorithms, and we don't need this embodied mattering. That we slowly realize embodiment matters. Embodiment makes a difference to our thinking. We think differently if we include this vulnerable base. And I think our crisis will help us to give totally new words to why this is relevant.